Welcome to the November 4th board meeting. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, it's nice to have people here tonight, and Tiffany, do you have the roll call?
Yes, I do.
And we do have one board member who's remote tonight on video. Okay. Resolve the Board of Education approve the agenda for the November 4th, 2024 regular Board of Education meeting. Don, Jeremy, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. And to start the meeting off with a bang, we will do our spotlight. We turn over to Dr. Barbary and Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, there we go. That's better. So we're very excited this evening to recognize students and staff who have stood out, among others, for outstanding achievements and accomplishments. We're going to first begin with recognizing Nicholas Relier and Corinne Parker. If you could please come forward. They're being honored. We're going to stand right here. They're both being honored for being named commended students in the National Merit Scholarship Program. Those being named commended students have demonstrated outstanding potential for academic success. And that's from the spokesperson from the National Merit Scholarship Foundation. They go on to say that these students represent a valuable national resource, recognizing their accomplishments as well as the key role their schools play in their academic development, which is vital to the advancement of educational excellence in our nation. According to this spokesperson, we hope that this recognition will help broaden their educational opportunities and encourage them as they continue their pursuit of academic success. So on behalf of the district, we'd like to congratulate you on this outstanding achievement.
Parents, please come on up forward if you want to get a better picture. Feel free to come forward.
Smile. Thank you. It's very thoughtful of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. What is also exciting is that beyond the commended students of the National Merit Scholarship Program, we also have a semifinalist. So we're excited. Chloe Deshays, if you would please come up. Chloe is being honored as being named a semifinalist in the National Merit Scholarship Program. For those of you that are unfamiliar, more than 16,000 of the highest scorers, representing less than 1% of the nation's high school graduating seniors, qualify as semifinalists. Only semifinalists will have the opportunity to advance in the competition of the Merit Scholarship Awards. So congratulations, Chloe. Just like congratulations to the other two outstanding. We're going to now shift gears to our staff spotlight, and we're going to first start with Patricia Reynolds. And I'm going to ask that Jennifer Pellet, our UPK teacher, also come up with Patricia. So Patricia is a retiree from the district, but she is also a substitute teaching assistant. And she's being honored this evening for going above and beyond to connect with her students. She was nominated by Eldon Elementary School UPK teacher Jennifer Pellet, who was so grateful for Patricia's ability to make connections and build positive relationships with students who she is only working with on a day-to-day basis. Here's an excerpt of Jennifer's nomination for this recognition. Mrs. Reynolds goes above and beyond each time she works at Eldon. Most recently, she was in for me as a teaching assistant. Upon her arrival, I briefly explained any student needs or concerns, as this was her first time in our classroom. One of the students that I mentioned, Mrs. Reynolds, took the time to get to know him, speak to him, play games with him, and begin to build a relationship throughout the day. When the student spoke back to her, she became excited and made sure to tell her, Mrs. Pellet, that she made a connection with him. A staff member who was only in for one day that is able to recognize that a child may need some extra love is going above and beyond. I know that when this child sees her again, he will have a big smile on his face and he will be eager to interact with her again. This is just one example of how Mrs. Reynolds goes above and beyond for her students. She is certainly a treasure to have, and we are fortunate to have such a loving and caring person in our school. So on behalf of the district, congratulations, Patricia. Our final staff spotlight was a carryover from our last meeting because there was a conflict. But I'm going to ask Cassidy Christensen to please come up. I'm going to try to do this a little off the cuff because we had planned to recognize Cassidy at our last meeting, but due to some coaching and other obligations, she wasn't able to be here. But she's being recognized and honored by our team and the Board of Education for her response during an emergency situation involving one of our cheerleaders during a cheer camp toward the end of August in Pennsylvania. And what I think makes this situation more unique is that really Cassidy stepped to the plate and was selfless in her response. And I'm going to read you a few excerpts without disclosing too much information. The parent of the students wrote us a nice letter. The board's had an opportunity to read through this letter, and I'll try to do it also without getting worked up because it is quite a emotional response that this parent provided to us given her heroic actions. So this parent wanted to acknowledge and commend one of our staff, being Cassidy Christensen, for her heroic efforts and amazing support of their child. August 30th, 2024 will forever be one of the scariest days in their life. What I can say about Cassie is that she remained calm and was able to rely on all the information that the mom was asking. We had an emergency situation 2+ hours away and really needed Cassidy to be the eyes and the ears of what was going on during this event. The parents were afraid. They didn't want their child to be left alone, and Cassidy really made sure that that was not the case. The parents go on to write that they are forever grateful for Cassidy being there to hold their child until they could get there, and that they're in awe of her, in awe because of her strength and poise throughout the evening that allowed her to remain calm and collected while handling such an unsettling event. She is a true hero and an amazing coach who went above and beyond that day. The parents go on to say that on behalf of their family, they wish to extend their most sincere thanks and appreciation for the efforts of all the heroes and angels of the Baldwinsville Central School District who have come to their aid and continue to be present alongside them. They are so proud to be a part of this amazing community and look forward to the continuing work with everyone throughout this journey. So Cassidy, I know it was definitely a traumatic experience for you, but you handled yourself in the most professional way, and we couldn't be more grateful for your dedication to not only your student athletes, but this district, and for that we're ever grateful. So thank you so much.
to Nicholas, Corinne, and Floyd. Very proud of you and on a stellar academic performance you've had. And thank you to Cassie and Patricia for your work with our students. It's so important that our staff cares so deeply about students. So we're going to start our business portion right now. So you are free to leave if you have other things that might be important. I can't imagine why, but no. But thank you for coming. We really appreciate you coming out. And again, thanks to everybody, and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, getting into the business meeting, the first is correspondence for activities and committee reports. And the first order here I see is the annual business meeting, which was handled, our business meeting representative was Jeremy and Sam. And I don't know if you have any more to say, but again, we're very proud because I think this is the first time that New York State School Boards has adopted a resolution put forth by Baldwinsville, and they did so. I'm sure you guys twisted their arms, but thank you. The next thing is that October, I'm sorry. You sure? Should have seen that sooner, shouldn't I, Andrew? Yeah.
I should have seen it.
And then October 20th to 22nd was the New York State School Boards Convention. And I think the first time in my memory ever, all 9 members attended. And I don't know if anybody would like to share, maybe you can go around a little bit and people can tell just one of the important impressions from the convention. Any takers on that? I see Wayne reaching for his mic.
I'll go first, then I don't have to think that hard. Because the obvious one was all the AI conversations, so I just took that from all of you who were going to say it. Yeah, there was a lot of different topics about AI and how to implement it into our school system and what's going to be coming. I also went to one session that was a group called Sources of Strength, which is like, I don't know the right way to say it right now, but like a suicide prevention type thing, but from a different perspective about having like one trusted adult and focusing on prevention rather than reactive, measures and stuff like that, and that was pretty impactful. Andy and Luke were there with me on that. The entire presentation was done by the students, which was fantastic. It was very, very cool, and they were obviously very committed to the program, so that was probably one of the highlights for me.
Yes, I do have a flyer from that to give to Carrie, so get more information on it. So. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I'll piggyback on Wayne's comments about AI, and I know a lot of us were impacted by that. I think it's clearly on the cutting edge of business today, and it's also impacting students. I think the legal seminar related to AI and the things we need to be weary of, and in terms of privacy, was an important thing for us to be prompted to think through. And then I think recognizing the reality of it and not being afraid of it, and understanding that we're going to have to philosophically think through what it means to be competent in today's world, and not just brush it to the side, but recognize it's something we're going to have to make sure our students understand. And so there's a lot of good information on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go quick. Agree. Jeremy, you and I talked about this, the idea of AI being a tool that can be harnessed to educate our students, and we had had some really interesting sort of side conversations about what does it mean to educate our students if we're thinking towards the future. What does it actually mean? So I thought that was really sort of interesting and thought-provoking. I also thought, we had an opportunity to sort of, again, be in different sessions and chit-chat with other folks from around the state. And I think one of the things that, sort of one of the conclusions that I drew from it was that we're in a pretty good place in terms of where we are in regards to addressing some of the issues that are sort of on the forefront of education in New York State now. And so one of the things that I walked away from the conference with was a sense of pride in what we're doing in the district now. Also understanding that there's always work to do and we always have to move forward, but I think I'm pretty proud of what we're doing in Beeville.
Luke, do you have anything to share? And Luke, you have to speak up because I can't tell when you're ready to talk, so stop me and please speak up if I don't recognize you.
Are you hearing me okay today? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Very, very good seminars, really good discussion. Some of the presentations were absolutely phenomenal with, like Tom and Jeremy said, how to prepare our students, how this already exists in today's world, how this already exists, not only with resources, but the technology that we are using every day, and some of the stuff that is coming out that it's not a question of if, because it's already there, it's in development, it's being worked on, so really enjoyed that part of it, as well as, again, networking with the other districts, and I can't agree enough with Tom. I think we are in a really great place, and it was really, really positive and productive convention we did to attend all as one team. So I really enjoyed it and took a lot from it. So not much more to add.
Thank you. Anybody? Sam?
Can't forget the robot, Sophie, that we got to meet. It was pretty entertaining, and who knows whether maybe somebody will have a robot here.
Yeah, and then on artificial intelligence, Dan Fitzpatrick from England, the speaker, it was very interesting how he related that we've got to use it. It's not, you can't find it, you can't outlaw it, but it could be a great tool if used properly, and I think that's what Tom is kind of getting at. But we really, it really woke me up to some of the possibilities. I didn't realize some of the possibilities. So the other, I went to, Andrew and I attended a meeting on, we're talking about spending time on student outcomes. And it made me realize more and more that we do need to always, you look at the inputs, outputs, but what you really want to know, how you're holding accountability, is the outcomes. So we want to be sure that we are spending board time on outcomes. Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, well, thank you. And then before this meeting, we held a facilities meeting and got a tour of the renovations at Derby, and Tom, I think you're going to address that.
I didn't actually know that was a meeting, but so we got an opportunity to put on the hard hats and the vests and take a look at what is going on at Derby in terms of the building. We had an opportunity to meet with folks that are working over there, they're in charge of the process. Got a look at the gymnasium space, the locker room space, the new kitchen space. I was really interested in the new office setup where they're going to be sort of redirecting where folks are going to be coming in and out of the building. I thought it was really informative, really impressive, the work that they are doing, and I know one of the things that we've been talking about obviously is the new capital project that we're going to be addressing in December. And I think when you're on the ground and you're actually seeing what's going on and the work that they're doing is so impressive, I think it reinforces the sort of the positive energy moving towards like what are we going to be doing in the future. So I think it was a great opportunity, and I hope we get a chance to do it again once the roofs are on things, which is what do they say, December?
End of November.
November, yeah, right. Amazing.
And I'm sorry, I skipped an important element here, was the community cafe, which was on cell phones and communications. And Joe, do you want to just comment?
We had our typical number of participants. I think it was definitely a beneficial experience. We provided the board in the Friday letter the analysis report, but I think the takeaway from my perspective, I think the folks that were there appreciated our gradual release of cell phone use to students as they work their way up through our system. So knowing how we have it more structured at the elementary, the middle school, and the junior high setting, and then when students get to the high school and their brains are a little bit more developed, they have a little bit more freedom and flexibility to utilize those devices in a more productive way. So I think that was a big takeaway from what I've heard from our community. We don't know where things are going from the governor's perspective, but I do know that, one thing I mentioned was that all of the local agencies, the New York State School Boards Association, New York State's Council of School Superintendents, New York State business officials, the PTA, they're all advocating for local control with this decision, and I think we have a good thing going with what we have currently within our code of conduct, but we'll see what happens mid-year when the new state budget is released, and if there's any connections to legislative changes with cell phone use. But I think, from our perspective, how things are going at Derby, what we heard from our families, we're on the right track.
That's great. So, anything else anybody wants to report on? And has attended? Okay, then we have the superintendent's day tomorrow. So there'll be some kids that get to sleep in a little bit. And remind everybody to tomorrow's election day, so please, if you haven't voted already, go express your democratic right and vote. So, I don't know anything coming up that we need to highlight?
The only other thing, not necessarily coming up, but we just want to congratulate the marching band for their outstanding performance at the Dome this past, two Sundays ago. The highest place that we've received, second place, missed it by a quarter of a point, but not without 100%, 110% effort on our students and our staff behalf. They did an outstanding job, as well as the other teams as well, and we couldn't be more proud of what they were able to accomplish this season. It was an outstanding show, and this past weekend at the national competition, they placed 7th. So when you think about it from that perspective, that's not bad at all. And that just says a lot about what they're able to do here in our school system.
Well, they were in the top tier of this a national invitation only event. That's saying something. Okay. Oh, I guess we're ready for our student report. Evie?
We just stole her thunder, but that's all right.
So as I said last meeting, we hadn't done our P2 Out of Darkness walk, the suicide prevention walk. It was really great. It was huge. There were a ton of different organizations and different companies participating with their own little booths, and they were giving out food and flyers and this phone number and that phone number for whatever resource you might need. And then there was this booth that I thought was really interesting where it gave out, because we were selling the blue beads for specifically suicide prevention at school, and they had all these different kind of colored beads, and they were all for different things, and they were just handing it out based on, if you're supporting someone, if you're going through something, and just all these different categories. I thought that was really interesting because I hadn't even thought of that. And then you can kind of see people spark conversation that way based on the colored beads they had and if it related to you. I thought that was a really interesting way, kind of when you, bad example, when you go to parties and you have certain categories, certain colors, oh my goodness, I have that relation to you. So that was really interesting. That was also the P2's first deposit from that fundraiser. It was really cool, it was really successful. And to kind of segue off of that, Paige's Pajama Ramo Run is an offshoot of the Butterfly Run. It's on November 15th. And last year, Beeville alone raised over approximately $7,000 for that event and to donate money for the leukemia research. It's district-wide, and flyers and links have already been sent out to all the parents and all the students and all the teachers and everything so people can participate. typically they collect pajamas and kids will wear pajamas during that week of school in support of the kids who are in hospital beds and are in pajamas all day. So it's kind of an awareness thing. And that, I think, is what started the pajama day at school, which everyone loves. And then a couple other volunteer things were Mr. Young's AP Gov students every year go to a Christmas bureau, November 16th this year. It's at the Student Support Building. And we don't really do anything other than just move tables, but we always offer to stay and help, and they just kind of wave us away, but that's okay. And then we also had a peace pole planting, a lot of alliteration today. And we had the ceremony today at 4:20-ish, where on the side of the library, you have 2 poles, and it's just little symbols of peace, and they have sayings in different languages on each side. And it was really cool. We put a little garden around it, we had a whole ceremony for it. That was really nice. Very, very good way to address the issues happening without specifically name dropping. And they're thinking about putting in benches, like 1 bench, I think, in the middle, just for people to have a little scenic route, I think. I'm not quite sure what their thought process on that is, but another one was we had through Rotary, it was a window washing, where you wash the windows from the Halloween decorations, and kind of help the community in that way. All of this was also mentioned at the SAC meeting, which we had this past week, I believe. And some things that students brought up, which were some things that they might announce to the BLT, the Building Leadership Team, which is going to be our first meeting ever this coming month, and the 13th, is Smart Pass kiosks, whether or not we can have a new way to end Smart Passes, because sometimes it's difficult, especially since you can't have your phone, and it's not even available on your phone. Science lab / support time, kind of like a math lab version for science, physics in particular. And then something that was interesting that was brought up was having students work at the cafe on the main foyer floor, to have them run it so that it runs throughout the day. It was just an idea. I have no idea what it takes to get there. And a new, I'm not sure if we call it club. It's not really called a club, but a new group that got approved as Mr. Ludden for the advisor is called the Flying Machines, and they're doing a real world design challenge 2024, where they're designing a drone to deliver supplies to forest fire aids. And it's kind of like a national competition that we do, where like a really smart group of students in our school come up with this idea, this world design challenge, and they try to win the best design. And so they're not actually making it, they're just designing it. It could cost a lot of money, but it's really cool. I sat in for one of their meetings, and it's just constant math on the board, and I just cannot keep up. So that was really interesting. There was also that Dr. DeBarber mentioned was marching band in New Jersey, got 7th place. Out of, I believe, 15 that were invited. I'm not sure how many showed up, but they got 7th, which was really great. A lot of marching band action going on. November 14th, Baker is co-hosting the Alexia Fall Workshop at 6:30 p.m. in the auditorium. And this is when, a couple weeks ago, there were SU students that came out through the school districts, and they were taking pictures of us in classes and little videos, and just not only the students, but the atmosphere. And they've compiled a little movie or a little film of the school in the village and the village itself, companies and families and businesses, just to show the life of Beeville, and that'll be really interesting. I'm pretty sure anyone can go at 6:30 in the auditorium. Okay, and that is November 14th. If you're interested, you might be in it. But that was really cool to see, kind of like the initial and then the product. And lastly, the marking period ends this Friday, but all the students, especially seniors at this point, know the grades aren't actually due till Wednesday. So that's great. We're all kind of banking on that, but yeah, great end to the first marking period. Thank you.
Evie, thank you. Although I think there's one thing you left off. There was a honor society induction, and I believe you were inducted.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
That was good.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Sounds like some interesting ideas that you're talking about. Okay, so now our next item is the public participation, and we're always happy to hear from the public. We do ask that they limit the time so that we can have plenty of time for the rest of the business meeting. And Tiffany, do we have any requests to speak?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on to the regular agenda, approval of the consent agenda. Resolve the Board of Education approve the consent agenda pursuant to the attached. Don?
Second.
Wayne? So there's a number of items on here, and the one thing I just call attention to, the aero security, we just have to approve this agreement because we do have an aero security employee that we're looking at. So that's that, and I don't know, is there any other questions or discussions? I know the claims audit report, which was in our Friday letter, is still looking pretty good, and we commend her for, I guess, teaching and helping new people learn how to process these claims. Financials continue to look pretty good, I think, right? Any other questions, discussions? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And next item, resolve the Board of Education approve the amended Baldwinsville Central School District Safety Plan pursuant to the attached. Andrew? Sam? There's only one change to this. When we have a new security firm or new contract, we have to add it, so arrow is the change. And I don't know if there's any other questions, discussions, since everything else we've gone through a few times. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item B, resolve the Board of Education approve the Baldwinsville Central School District Policies Series 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, and 8000 pursuant to the attached. Don?
Second.
Christie?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Don, Christie. Questions or discussions here? This follows, I think, our basic philosophy, that we will address needed policies, but when a policy is already in line with state law, or there's a state law that covers it, we are not really using those policies. So we are retiring one policy here because of that. Okay. Hearing no further questions or discussions, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item C, resolve the Board of Education approve the award of contract for the 2024-2025 capital outlay project general construction contract to Bellows Construction Specialist LLC pursuant to the attached. Sam? Wayne? Tiffany, obviously we use lowest bidders, and we have dealt with these people before, I think. So you're well familiar with this group, and
Yes, we are. We worked with them last school year, and we had 3 bidders, and they were the lowest of the 3 bidders.
any other question, discussion? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that takes care of the voting segment, and we'll move to the board roundtable. And I think the first order of business is school bus stop arm cameras, which was in the paper.
This was in the paper. So Onondaga County, we were approached back in September. The Onondaga County executive and his team decided to approach 4 school districts. We were one of those districts, Liverpool, North Syracuse, and the East Syracuse Minoa District were also selected to be a part of a pilot program where we would, at no cost to the district, have installed stop arm cameras on all of our school buses if we proceed to move forward. So we're in the final stages of solidifying an agreement between the district and the county and the company that is going to be administering these stop arm cameras. The county executive and the county government are in the process of adjusting the laws or ratifying, I guess, the ability for, ratification is probably not the right word, but adopting a resolution that allows for that to be permissible in the county like they use in other counties across the state. And the intent is to just ultimately create safer spaces. I know in counties that they have implemented these stop arm cameras, it's amazing how many vehicles are ticketed almost immediately, which I think hopefully people learn from a ticket not to do that again. And we hope that the red flashing lights and the stop sign are enough to deter people from making a poor choice, but it obviously happens. So this will allow these cameras to be monitored, not through our district, but through this county and the county system, and they will be issuing tickets. And there is, again, no cost to us. Yes, the county put out in the paper. Thankfully, I'm grateful that I provided you with information almost a month ago in the Friday letter, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more time to have a public discussion before that announcement went out, but it's out there. And the only thing I will say is that the board will have to approve a resolution once we finalize the agreement authorizing this for our school buses. When a bus gets decommissioned, they just pull the camera and put it on a new vehicle. But we feel pretty confident based on the discussion we've had. Actually, Tiffany and I and Corey Arduto, our Assistant Transportation Director, were on a call today with regard to this pilot program. So more to come. I don't know if there's any specific questions from the board.
When you say pilot,
When I say, so we are in the pilot group, but they have every intent that they don't see this not working, that it will eventually be something that will be rolled out with success to other school districts within the county.
There's 4 schools initially, right?
right, and so at no cost to.
At no cost to us, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, even when a bus gets, because they have to install these cameras on the buses. Once they install them, after the bus gets surplus by the board, they fill the holes where they had to attach these, and we're at that point our vehicles are surplus anyway, and somebody will buy them after that. But I mean, there's really at this point there's no, I guess, negative that we see related to this. The county will make out, and we're hopeful that they will continue to take some of the funding and reinvest it in the things that are supporting schools, like the mental health supports that they've spent millions of dollars on over the last several years. They will continue to redirect some of that funding, but the funding is going to offset the expansion to other schools as well.
Just a quick question. So there are some funds kind of getting pushed around. As fines are levied, it goes to the state controller, 90% comes back to the county, and something goes back to the school.
Nothing comes back to the school. In fact, the law, it's all left in the government hands, in the county hands. The schools cannot make. In fact, the law is very specific, from my understanding, that schools can't collect on any of the fines. So I think the partnership is that we are in good faith hopeful that the supports that the county is providing schools with some of the other services continue to be supported moving forward, because we're helping them with this project.
Right. And so the only other, as far as I can tell, not terribly bright, but the only other element that deals with any money here is I guess if the school district fails to maintain the equipment properly, there's something like a $35 a day or a week or something like that.
And that's the part that we are continuing to go back and forth, our legal counsel with them. I don't think it will be an issue. It's basically that it's not operational. So we have a really good DOT rate. I mean, our buses are out there, so I don't anticipate, and I think it's ultimately making notification to the county that, we have a system down. It's their responsibility. We have no control of fixing it. It's the company. So it's putting them on notice if there's something down, which we have great mechanics and folks that will do that.
Is that part of the MOU? Is that enforced during the pilot?
It's enforced once we sign the agreement, so that's why the attorneys are going back and forth, and our attorneys with Farrar are trying to do their best to make sure that, we're protected, because, ultimately, I see it as we're doing them a favor for making this happen, although we are benefiting from the point of view that increased safety across the district.
Yeah, that's actually the purpose of the question, is if we're piloting with them, which is actually for them, I was kind of wondering whether this is going to be enforced during the pilot portion of this, or if it's just going to kind of roll.
That is the plan, because they are investing a lot to make this happen. I mean, there's a cost, obviously, for every camera that they're bearing for this quote-unquote pilot. And I say pilot, but let's just be honest, once this takes off, it's going to end up happening everywhere.
Awesome, thank you.
Is there anything we need to provide in terms of personnel, or is the video transmitted directly to
It's transmitted
somebody that,
cellular, and then they will have a staff member in Onondaga County that will be reviewing it and then finalizing the issuing of the tickets. And based on our conversations, as they expand this program, they're going to have to hire additional staff, because one person's not going to be able to do that for every district in Onondaga County when it gets to that point. And they're utilizing the similar process structure that's been used in Albany and in Monroe County. Oneida County is the closest to us that has implemented this program.
That was kind of going to be my question. Is there any kind of training or anything that needs to be done for our staff, or any monitoring, nothing?
They're just driving the bus.
All right, so nothing changes?
No. And reporting if a system happens to go down. How would they, we would be getting, if a bus is not, there's something's operational on the dash, yeah. But we don't have any control over monitoring or even seeing the video. It's all done at the county.
Okay, anything else? Anything to improve safety? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the only thing, so the intent is for this to start for the 25-26 school year. I would not anticipate them putting anything on our buses until they have time to do that, which would be during the summer. So we have a huge fleet, Liverpool, North Syracuse, comparable fleets, ESM. That's a lot of, so you're talking over 400, close to 500 buses that will need to have 2 cameras installed on every bus.
Thank you. Okay, next item is just, it's time to start talking about our mid-year evaluations. And of course, Joe's evaluation, we have scheduled for exec after our December 2nd meeting, which will mean we'll need to start at our next workshop, which will be in 2 weeks. Oh, and just in preparation for these, I had to print off our board goals. Now I know they're on the website, but sometimes for me anyway, it helps to be able to have them right in front of me. So there's your copy of the board goals. But
I would say I will have, for at least my informal review, I know it's more of a discussion, I will have some data updated in the super eval system, so you'll have a chance, as Victor mentioned, prior to December 2nd to look through that.
So, that will be in super eval, so if you have any qualms about using super eval, we ought to have that discussion on our meeting, after our meeting on the 18th, at our workshop. Because that's a great system, but it does, you gotta understand some of the points of operation. But we will start accumulating data. You'll need to have your responses in like the Friday before our December 2nd meeting, so I can aggregate it, and then we can print it out.
Yeah, and you don't have to, I don't believe for this one, you won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we didn't aggregate that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right, thank you.
You don't have to comment, you can
But I
just be
think you're
prepared
gonna
to
have to
comment.
then cue in again, so that it's open back up for everybody.
Yeah, because we will have
close it out after the.
Yes, we will have to, it'll be a clean slate, yeah.
Correct,
Right,
yeah.
you are correct.
It already is a clean slate if you go in there.
Yeah, we gotta open it back up. Remember, we couldn't log in before.
Yeah, you should be okay now because I already put in the goals that were established.
That was after we closed it before.
Yeah. So you should be good. If for some reason you can't log in, just let Chrissy know and she'll be able to help reset.
Yeah, so you might just go and do, I guess, before the 18th, so you know where we are. And then the second item is that we have been doing, last year we did, and I thought it was worthwhile, doing a board self-evaluation, which is a little less formal, but I think we did use rubric and super eval as a guideline. And I think, so after we do Joe, do we want to look at that for our January meeting? And then we could do this, we could do the same thing. So let's plan January, and then that means that our workshop in December, we lay down details for that. That sounds good for everybody. Okay.
And I would just add it would make sense to use the January 27th work session for that. You'll have a budget work session, and then I think, given how long that will go, I think it makes sense to tie that in to do the board self-evaluation discussion at that time.
Okay. And so we'll calendar that for. Okay. Does that cover those two items then? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Well, with that, resolve the Board of Education enter into executive session for collective negotiations pursuant to the Taylor Law, discuss the Baldwinsville Teacher Association contract and the employment history of a particular persons. Christy, Don, any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries, so 5 minutes will be in exec. Thank you.